good morning, and good night. Thanks again for downloading the Body Snatchers podcast. And when you listen, stream, or download straight to your device, CastBox is your best option. Remember, if you like what you hear today, don't forget to subscribe and comment. So let's get started with Steve, Tino, Gia, and John with the news. Enjoy the show.
Everyone in the sound of my voice, good morning and good night. Welcome to the Body Snatchers podcast. Today we're going to sit down and talk about the already wildly successful Black Panther, Marvel's latest box office freight train. But before we get started on that, we are on Snapchat now. Add us, Body Snatchers PC. It's just like our Twitter. Or just go to bodysnatcherspodcast.com and grab that snap code. I'm Steve with Tino and John. How you boys doing?
What up?
How you guys doing?
I'm good, man. I'm so excited to jump into talking about this movie today. Like, you guys have no idea. Like, I'm fanboy, like, raging right now.
All right, set it off. What do you got?
Well, I mean, first of all, I loved the movie. I loved every single thing about the movie. I loved the soundtrack. I loved the costume designs. I loved, the director's, methodology for getting everything done. I mean, just through and through, not a single issue. How did you guys feel about it? Because I would like to dive into every, little thing that I mentioned, in a few moments.
I felt the same way, but the villain in this movie was fantastic. It's by far my favorite villain in any Marvel movie. I can't think of one that was this good. Can you?
Actually, no. I mean, the more I think about it, not really.
This happens a lot in pro wrestling where, you got a good guy and a bad guy, and you're supposed to hate the bad guy because of the bad shit he does. But sometimes you get a heel that's so good at being bad that everyone that's supposed to hate him turns out to like him a lot, maybe just as much as the good guy. And that was this situation here with Eric Killmonger.
Everything that he was doing, was totally justified. You do feel torn, because you want to you want to back up T'Challa, but you also, want to back up what Eric's doing to some degree. But then, Eric makes moves. You're like, hey, motherfucker, why are you doing it like that?
Right,
you can do it, but not that way. Not like this, Eric. Not like this. And that's, just kind of how you feel, torn throughout the whole thing. Visually, was this not one of the best fucking movies you've ever seen? Like, was it not breathtaking?
It looked really good. I did write down that Marvel, sometimes their fight scenes, the camera goes a little too crazy. I didn't hate it.
Yeah, but not like Michael Bay crazy where you don't know what's going on. I mean, they were all over the place, but it didn't annoy me. But I could see how it might annoy you. I'll give you that.
You remember where T'Challa was fighting Baku for the crown, pretty much. And that last hit where he got him in the face before he got him in the triangle, that hit was so quick. You didn't even see him, it come by his face. It was just like a quick flicker of the camera and a hit, and he was down. And
that's that Bruce Lee punch, man.
And it was like the broken head of a spear. And I'd be fine with it if I wasn't spoiled with Daredevil season 1 and the fight scenes there that look so good, and you didn't need those camera tricks. So why does everyone else need it?
Well, everybody's not a trained martial artist, though. They go through their choreography and they learn a ton, but for it to be believable on camera, sometimes you have to make those adjustments and do CGI. Yeah. A lot of the cast in Daredevil, they looked for people who were kind of actors, but mostly trained martial artists. I think the guy that played Danny was the only person who kind of lacked a lot of the experience, but made up for it. Well, that's a whole other thing. I don't even want to get into that because
I think you could still make it work with a wild right hand. You know what I'm saying? But all right, continue.
Yeah, whatever you say. So
from the pockets.
Shut the fuck up. How about that? Sorry, I've been watching Wakanda. Your skin's not, you got to be a couple shades darker to talk to me in that tone.
I understand. I'll get you back March 1st. I ain't worried.
God, I hate you. Yeah. The director, this whole thing was directed by Ryan Coogler. And if you guys didn't know, that's the same guy who did Creed. I'm sure you guys saw that, the latest Rocky installment.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I absolutely loved Creed. So when I found out he was directing it, before going into the movie, I already knew this shit was going to be off the hook. I just knew it was going to be solid all the way through. And then as far as actors, we already knew that Chadwick Boseman was going to be playing Black Panther because we saw him in Civil War. And that dude, I don't know if you guys have checked out any of his other movies. He's a pretty damn good actor. His probably most notable movie outside of being in the Avengers probably would have been 42, the Jackie Robinson movie that came out in 2013. I took the liberty to watch that, and it's fucking good. It moves you emotionally. So I'm really happy that they picked him up. He did an excellent job as playing Black Panther. T'Challa just killed it all the way through. And there was so much more character development that you didn't get from the Avengers because his on-screen time was so short. So I was very thankful for that. I'm glad he stepped up to the plate and handled his business like he needed to. Michael B. Jordan, how'd you guys feel about his character all the way through? I know that you like Killmonger, but were you really feeling that villain as much as you say you were?
Michael B. Jordan, he did really good. There wasn't one time where I thought that he shouldn't have that part. They made his character so easy to understand for everybody. They gave this villain such a legitimate reason to be a motherfucker, to be a killer. As a kid, he thought Wakanda was some magical, beautiful place that he would see someday. You know, he goes up and he finds his dad killed. And like he said, he found panther claws in his chest, meaning his dad was killed by his uncle, T'Challa's father, who's the king of Wakanda at that time. And he was just left there. And they talk about it so much to where he's like, you left that boy there. And he's like, yeah, well, that's the one truth I decided to leave like that. And it sucks for him. I feel everyone feels so bad, but he's a motherfucker when he comes back. Like, he has all these scars on him for every person that he killed. And you can see ones that were professional and ones that were emotional, like he did with a knife or a rock or something. It was just a very, very powerful thing.
He was so fucking
I enjoyed his character.
He was so fucking hood about it. Like when he showed up in Wakanda and was like, "Hey, Auntie," that shit killed me.
Well, it made sense though, because I mean, you look at where he grows up, but he still knows like his family history and everything. So it's like he knows what's up, but he grew up and.
Well, I'm not saying there's anything wrong for it. It obviously makes sense. He grew up in the hood. I'm just saying that, like, you know, the tone and the approach that he took was just, you know, really funny because he was very straightforward, very direct about it.
Yeah.
And that made me laugh when he talked to Angela Bassett, the queen, like that.
On the interwebs, they say that his story's cliche, and I agree it is, but the way he executed it he wasn't crazy. He was emotional, but it was a different kind of emotion. It didn't make him crazy or bloodthirsty.
Let me clear that up right now. The only complaint that I've heard about that movie has been, you know, plot. The plot was not bad at all. Was it simple? Sure. But I think that was the safest and best way to go. Like, it was simple. It was still entertaining. It was on a track design where children, who are a huge part of this for a family movie, are going to be able to go in and keep up and not be, you know, confused or have to ask 100 million questions. But it also wasn't done, you know, in a shitty way, because there's a lot of ways you could have had a simple plot where it just bores you to death and you're like, I hate this. So as far as simplicity goes, was it predictable? Sure. But it was good. I'm sorry, John. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. I was just saying, I was agreeing with you because the plot was predictable, but it was still good. Everything that was going on made sense. Like, there wasn't a lot of jumping around or anything. It worked.
And you can have a simple movie and have it be an amazing movie.
Yeah.
Like this one, there was so much action. I loved, and I was worried that, you know, they saw like, oh, people liked how humor Ragnarok was, and that worked, and maybe they wanted to up it a little bit in Black Panther. But Black Panther had the same comedy that mostly every other Marvel movie had, and it worked. When it was time to laugh, everybody laughed.
And it was time to feel, you fucking felt that shit. They nailed it. They executed it flawlessly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like you said, you didn't have to think. You just enjoyed a great movie.
Kind of, you know, switching speeds up real quick before I get into some information, because I really want to shed some light on some of the characters, some facts that you guys might not be familiar with. Being black and going to a movie like this, like the positive energy that I felt was just overwhelming. Like, I can't name a time that like I went in and I had such a good feeling. I mean, were there tons of people there who weren't like, you know, true comic book fans, all that kind of stuff? Absolutely. Did that bother me in any way? Absolutely not. There was people dressed up. There was old people, people's, you know, grandparents, you know, grandchildren, you know, kids or whatever, like all taking pictures in front as we're walking in. You know, there was, you know, a couple older black guys, and, you know, they were walking up to each other, didn't even know each other. And they were doing like the Wakanda, you know, salute, Wakanda forever, as they were walking away. And it's like, it was just, I was so full of joy to like see something like that. Because I've never seen something like that. I don't know. It's like hard to describe. So I mean, like maybe like I'm talking too much, you know, when it comes to that. But it was just a good feeling. Everybody at the show was very respectful. You know, they were clapping, they were cheering. It was an experience. You know, I've never gone to a movie where like it just, you know, you get overwhelmed with like all this stuff going on. So I mean, I strongly recommend everybody as quickly as possible to go and see that movie, you know, kind of while the hype train's still there, just to catch a little piece of that, because this is going to open up a lot of doors as time goes by and, you know, they think about, you know, what they can accomplish. It was so cool to see a fucking movie, you know, full of black people where like, you know, the stereotypes, you know, weren't all there, and they weren't, you know, made to be some sort of a thug or, you know, something like that. And it's not to say that every movie's like that, but it seems like if it's not that, then it has to be about, you know, a black people, trying to come up in like a racist society or something. And you just get tired of that. Like, I just want to see a cool ass movie, where black people are made to look good, where they're made to shine. And that's what we got. So I hope to see many more things like that in the future. And I didn't mean to go on a rant with that. I don't know if, John felt that way, or Steven, if you noticed, that kind of vibe when you went to the movies. You guys, now would be the time to share your experience if you did.
I've been noticing this since there's been buzz on the internet, how, you got World Star and Outtake Media on Facebook, and it's like, for black people, it sheds a bad light on them. That's what it is, because those are the only videos that they share. Those are the only videos that they post, pretty much. And then you have Black Panther and just the positivity that this thing brings. And for this movie, more than any other that we've probably done, from your kids to your great-grandmother can walk in here, see it, with no knowledge of anything, not from the comics or any backstory from them, even the other Marvel movies, and they can enjoy it from beginning to end. And I think that's pretty cool when the experience of Black Panther is just good all around. And like you said, while the hype is still here, you need to experience it.
I'm glad that people really enjoyed it too, because honestly, it will bring, I think it'll bring a lot more fans to not only just like the Black Panther universe, but also like the Marvel universe. Because I'm pretty sure this movie is going to create a lot of new fans for people who want to actually research and dive deeper into like a lot of the backstory and characters from the Black, from Wakanda, and seeing exactly who is who and what their backstory is and everything. And people enjoyed it, man. That's, at the end of the day, that's all that matters. People make movies for people to enjoy, and it accomplished that goal through and through. So I'm happy for it. I'm happy that the movie's doing so well. I'm happy people are enjoying it. Even though I feel like some people did go a little bit too extra with it, but at the end of the day, as long as they went home happy seeing this film, that's all that matters.
Nah, fuck that. Like that black dude on Facebook said, I can't remember his name right now, but he made some video and I was dying. He was like, let black people be extra. He was like, we do everything. We're extra as a culture. He was like, extra seasoning. It's like, all right, okay. I'm totally with that. Like, I definitely support that. I don't mind. If you want to dress up like Coming to America, then you do that shit and you own that shit. And I'm going to high five you as I walk in. Don't care. So anyways, kind of moving on, I wanted to hit you guys with a couple of facts that you may not be familiar with, because I know I'm the only loser who fucking reads comics.
God, you're lame. Continue.
It is what it is.
I mean, in this setting, you're king, but any other setting, people just spit on you.
Yeah, okay. You want to throw hands? Let's do it. So, anyways, Michael B. Jordan's character, Killmonger. I'm not getting into detail. I don't want to debate things. I just want to let you guys know that that wasn't entirely accurate with what you get out of the comics. And I think that it was fine. The way it was done was executed flawlessly. But I did want to say that iconic moment where like he fucking throws T'Challa off the side of the fucking waterfall, that actually did happen in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great scene.
So that wasn't just made up. It was a great scene, and it hurt, because you're like, oh, no, how could you?
I actually would have been mad if he didn't throw him off the waterfall.
And John's right. There's a difference from him putting the knife through, like stabbing him or something and leaving him for dead, other than just tossing him off the waterfall.
Had to happen. Absolutely
had to happen.
Had to. That cemented his genius, because he didn't pull any punches through that entire movie. Like, at no point, this dude was just so focused on his goal and what he wanted that no amount of like emotional bullshit was gonna stop him.
Do you feel that, like, and obviously it's part of the story and it's related to the comics, but do you feel that like part of the reason T'Challa lost that fight was because he wasn't as focused? Like, he was, because I feel that way. I feel like he was in shock with like, what his father had done and what his father had hidden from him, and how could he do that to his own people? His nephew, T'Challa's cousin, and I feel like he was. I don't want to make an excuse for his L. Like, he definitely took an L, but do you think that his focus wasn't there, and it could be part of the reason why he lost the first fight?
Oh yeah, but I mean, also it's not one of those situations where it was like, and you're probably gonna hate me for bringing this up, but like in Star Wars, with Rey and fucking Kylo Ren, when they first had their lightsaber fight.
This nigga said labor. I'm fucking done. Nah,
I know.
Have a seat. It's over.
But like when this dude's supposed to be a badass, and in reference to T'Challa, he's supposed to be a badass, but he's going through all these emotions. Like, I think it definitely did affect him in his fighting because when he fought the other guy, they threw hands at each other and they were both pretty even, I think, in fighting.
Talking about Baku, right?
Yeah, Baku. But T'Challa obviously had the upper hand. It was just, he had to fill out his opponent. But this dude's fighting style was probably so unorthodox. Also, it wasn't anything that T'Challa was probably used to fighting.
Well, see, and but I feel like that's debatable just because how he was giving hands to everybody in the Avengers and they had different fighting styles. So,
True.
I mean, and this is my personal thing, but I feel like his focus clearly wasn't there. And I think that's what the movie and the directors are trying to, just demonstrate because like they kept every time, that he would talk about how could you do this? Why could you do this? He never even talked about his own loss or like, how could I lose? He was just like, why, Dad? Even like when he died or not died, but when he went back into the afterlife again, and saw his father the second time, like he was just like, why? And that's the only thing that was on his mind. So I feel like his focus was gone. And once he got it back, that's when, this motherfucker came back and got his powers back and was beating up rhinos and shit. Yeah. But that's another thing. We'll come back to that. So moving on, we're done with T'Challa. It's over. So I want to talk about Nakia, his love interest, his ex-girlfriend or whatever that was in there. First off, let me say this. She was fine as all hell. Jesus Christ. I need like a rotating wallpaper on my phone with her just every day, her waking up like in those beautiful garments. And speaking of garments, if you guys didn't know, the costumes like for that movie, like I think were the head person in charge of all of that. Could be mistaken. It could be a partner, but I know like one of the main people with that was Ruth E. Carter. And she is famous for doing the costumes for Love and Basketball, Meteor Man, House Party 2, Shaft, Four Brothers, and Dr. Dolittle 2. Those are like probably the most iconic movies I think that she's done. But I mean, it's
a good resume.
Well, the costumes were flawless, so I feel like that's something to bring up. I thought it was important. So just, mentioning that in case there was anybody who was wondering, where that whole art style and, that whole design came from. She had everything to do with, his fucking costume to, the apparel that everybody in Wakanda was wearing, because I thought everything was dope. I was dying laughing when he came out in those uncle at the barbecue sandals when they're like, "What are you doing?" He was like, "I wanted." She was like, "What are those?"
So let me ask you something. Since you brought her up and they went to what was it? East Korea, South Korea, whatever. I think it was South Korea. But
did you say East Korea? What the fuck is wrong with you guys?
There's 4 points of a compass. Why wouldn't there be an East Korea?
I'm buying you a fucking globe or a map for your birthday. Jesus. Oh,
but anyways, this soundtrack was dope. It's really good. Like I got it on Spotify and I've listened to it a couple times already. And I noticed in the movie, which was really smart. Take Killmonger for example. When he's walking in Wakanda, he has a soundtrack. It's called The King's Dead, I believe. And they just played instrumental because I think if you would have had the rap lyrics to that song, I don't think it would have made the moment be what it was. I think it would have been something else. It would have modernized it in the wrong way. But when they were in South Korea, they put the rap lyrics in there and it worked.
Yeah, no, I noticed. I mean, that's audio engineering 101. Sometimes you got to dice things up. Like, for instance, the most recent Digimon show that we did, I took the lyrics out of the intro and just did an instrumental just because, for our whole intro where it's describing us and yada, 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 it was fucking all that up. So I was like, okay, it's got to go.
No, that's pretty dope. And I ended up listening to the album like right before. Like once or twice before I actually saw the movie, and I really enjoyed it. But I was too busy enjoying everything else going on in the movie to even really recognize that they did that with the soundtrack.
Nakia, who's played by Lupita. I actually forgot her last name, so I apologize.
You did good so far.
That was the love interest in the comics. Like, I mean, this was dope. Like the way they set it up, where she's just like, we got to do more for Wakanda and blah blah blah. In the comics, she's actually super super obsessed with like Black Panther. Like, totally wants to have his babies and all this other shit to the point where he's like, bitch, get away. And she's been attempted to kill herself for attention, where she jumped off like some huge massive ledge into like a super small amount of water, where it like basically knocked her unconscious on impact. She took in water and then like he had to give her mouth to mouth to resuscitate her.
Wow.
Like she's just like did extra shit like that. And there's one point in the comics, like he's dating this chick, Monica Lynn, an American. Nakia tries to kill her by ejecting her from a plane, and then goes back to Wakanda and tells Black Panther, like, yeah, she's definitely dead, which she wasn't, but like, just like made shit up. And ultimately, like, he ended up, I believe, like exiling her from Wakanda for that shit. I don't know if that specifically did it. I can't really remember, but yeah. So that's some shit where, like, you know, we probably won't see in the movies. You know, they're gonna leave, they're gonna leave the happy part, but yeah, like
they clearly toned it down.
She's cool now, but she gets crazy later. So, you know, all women are crazy. I'm trying to remember how to pronounce this. You know, excuse me, because like I just, you know, these are names that are cool names, but we don't use them all the time. Okia, I think it was. That was the chick played by Danae, the chick from The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Dude, her presence on screen was so phenomenal. Like her and all the rest of the chicks that they had that were a part of like the, you know, Royal Kings, like guardsmen or whatever, they fucking made like the Wonder Woman Amazons or Amazonians, I guess you could say properly, look like Girl Scouts or something. Like they totally just shit on them, dude. They were so
that first hit where they hit Killmonger when he activated the suit, and then 3 of them like crouched in front of him, and then she stepped off of him to get that thrust.
Right?
No, that was pretty. The choreograph for like the fight scenes were really good, and anytime that the guardsmen came up, they killed it. So she was perfect for that role because she did it so well.
Dude, like I was fucking turned on the whole time, like with her, like her short, you know, to the point remarks and comments, that fierce ass look on her face. She just looked so powerful. It was like I loved every second of it. One thing that like wasn't really mentioned, but that whole squad of like, you know, royal guards or whatever in Wakanda, they're actually wives in training. So that's something that I don't believe got mentioned, but I thought I'd, you know, bring it up. Mm-hmm. Something you guys might care. Wives in training for Black Panther, the king.
It was kind of implied, right? Because she was having quarrels with her husband on the Rhino.
Well, no, it wasn't implied that they were wives in training for him, for the Black Panther.
Yeah, they're not just like wives for somebody can get a wife who's strong. No, they specifically were designed for Black Panther. That's what their training's for. That's their purpose. Now, Shuri was like possibly my favorite character, at least like top 3. I loved everything about her with all the tech and her being like a scientist, you know, in the movie, like just super badass. And you know, she was like real beautiful, just funny, charismatic. Like I loved everything about her character. Like the scene where after they leave the nightclub or whatever, and then she hops in, like the Black Panther puts the fucking that technology like on the car or whatever, and then she's able, and she's able to take control of it from Wakanda. Dude, that shit was dope as fuck. You guys had to have been jumping out of your seat when you seen that. Like it made Tony Stark's stuff from Iron Man look like, you know,
Lincoln Logs.
Yeah, that's actually perfect.
But no, I agree, dude. Like all of those scenes, the amount, and it's been known that Wakanda was way more advanced anyway. So
Tino, you read the comics, right?
Yeah, I haven't read all of them, but I have read many. Some of them I haven't finished. I started. I mean, comics are like weird. I jump around a lot. But yeah, I'm familiar with most of it.
So those there was 2 closing credit scenes, right?
Oh shit! Now I gotta think back. Yeah, re-describe them to me if you could. Like,
the first one was pretty much, if you've seen the end of Iron Man 1, it was him in front of, you know, a crowd of people. And he was that Wakanda.
Oh, talking to the like United Nations, kind of.
Yeah, revealing Wakanda.
So like they didn't finish it, but I don't know if he was gonna say like I am Black Panther. I don't think nobody knows who that is, so they wouldn't. But he said he was gonna introduce vibranium and tell everyone what it is. Is there any story after that in the comics?
Not that I can think of. I can't remember if it becomes like widely known public information, like. Shield knows about it, and you know all the governments that you know come into comics, you know, end up knowing about it. But I don't believe that it becomes like common information for vibranium specifically. But they do help out, you know, as far as like technological advancements. And
like
stuff
in Infinity Wars, Bucky's arm is made of vibranium, which makes me think that he's more inclined to be handing it out. Plus, he fixed that dude's spine.
Yeah, but I mean, there's vibranium comes up really often in the Marvel universe, and the fact that, you know, Bucky lost his arm and then ends up, you know, getting help from the people of Wakanda, it would only make sense for them to replace his arm with vibranium, and it was like a way for them to kind of be like, hey, you know, this is what they do, you know, like they help out. Like there's, you know, like Cap's shield, for instance. I'm surprised they didn't use that, and they might, but you know, vibranium again. So you'll see more of it in the Marvel universe. I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Can we talk about that scene where he took down, and it looked very real, where he took down that rhino?
Yeah, I fucking almost jumped out of my goddamn chair when he beat up the rhino.
So he drop kicks this rhino, in its stomach. It turns a little bit, and he grabs his horn and he torques it back. And when he torques it back, the momentum leans the rhino on its stomach. So when it falls, it slides into an already crashed ship, and it downs this giant rhino. Rhinos don't even get that big. It was as big as an elephant. But it was so cool to show you how powerful
In Wakanda they do.
how powerful that suit is.
Oh, the suit in itself was dope. The fact that it pulls in kinetic energy and builds it up and then releases it as an attack. Like, what? Who thought of that? Because I don't believe I ever read that. I know that they've made suit advancements where it's made of vibranium, but I don't ever remember reading that it absorbs kinetic energy and takes that energy.
Also, the fact that you can just freaking wear a necklace and the whole thing just envelops your entire body.
Well, that was cool. That reminded me of Spider-Man Unlimited, where he had like nanotechnology where it came out of his watch and his suit would just wrap around his body. So I was really happy to finally like see that on screen, because even Tony Stark,
He's pretty much a Power Ranger.
no, not at all. even Tony Stark ends up designing something, where his suit ends up doing that. Where I think they said it even the suit stays dormant like within his bones and then comes out like
Tiny little robots.
right. And that was something that I wanted to see in Iron Man 3, which was a complete failure to me. And I'm a huge Iron Man fan, so
Yeah, no, I didn't enjoy 3.
whatever. That's neither here nor there. But go ahead.
So let me get out my favorite moments with honorable mention really quick. In Civil War, he wasn't OP Black Panther, right?
That's debatable. Everybody who faced him caught some kind of hands.
Oh yeah.
Right, and that's you guys say it was because of emotion, but this movie takes place a week after Civil War, they said.
True.
So the one thing I was worried about this movie is T'Challa's the Black Panther, and he's just amazing all around. He's supposedly the richest guy in the world, right?
He is, not supposedly. Definitely is.
Yep.
So like I thought that he would be like ultimate, like he could catch stuff without looking and dodge any punch that you can give him. But they made him pretty human and pretty down to earth, which made Killmonger look awesome in comparison.
Black Panther, like a lot of people joke about this, that he's the Black Batman. And
Exactly.
in a lot of situations, like he is, but he's got more money than Batman, and he's definitely got like the training and all that. But at the same time, like he's very humanistic. He does take L's. A lot of his wins, our plot is what defends him in that.
Yeah.
But he's got some really dope feats though, and I think that it's cool that they gave it to him. Like if you guys didn't know, there's a scene. I forget which comic it is, but he actually choked out the Silver Surfer, which is like insane. Now granted, the Silver Surfer is like, I let my guard down on purpose because blah blah blah. They made up some excuse for it that made it make sense, but just the fact that he did that was like dope. Black Panther has also wielded the Infinity Gauntlet, if you guys didn't know that.
Yeah, it's on the front page of Body Snatchers, but
Yeah, well, I bet you don't know the context of it. Go ahead, tell me. I'll wait.
what's context?
Shut the fuck up. So,
I thought it was those things you put in your eye.
He's right.
I'm firing. Body Snatchers will be hiring. We need 2 hosts.
Oh, by the way, opening weekend Black Panther did over double what Justice League did. So,
Well, fuck Justice League. It was a terrible movie. They wouldn't
What
even
was that, like $10?
They wouldn't even let fucking Superman shave his mustache off for it.
Right,
They
they
had to
CGI.
they CGI'd his upper lip. So yeah, that lets you know how dedicated they are. Going back to Shuri real quick, I just wanted to show his sister in the movie a little bit of background. She actually attempted to become Black Panther before T'Challa had done that. If you guys weren't aware.
They didn't directly reference it, but it was kind of funny, like when he had his first fight for the throne, or his first challenging fight for the throne. She kind of made a joke that she was going to step up and challenge him, but it was funny.
Well, yeah, that's the only thing I wish they would have showed, is that she actually is a capable warrior. So she actually went for it before her brother had become Black Panther. I think her uncle in the comics was Black Panther at the time, or at least was attempting to become Black Panther. And he ended up fighting her brother, T'Challa, who won. And, she like made it last minute. It was like, oh, fuck, I didn't get my chance. And I believe in the comics, she ended up doing like additional training just in case T'Challa ever, died or something like that, so that she could possibly be, the next Black Panther. So that's something to keep in mind.
They didn't show off her fighting skills as much as I think they could have.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, she was a great character. I just think that they could have shed a little bit of light on that just to show that she was capable. They made her look more like a scientist,
Nerd!
Which she was, but not really, the warrior aspect of it. But the other thing that I want to bring up is M'Baku. So he was a really dope character, but in the comics, he's actually a man ape in Wakanda, and they toned his character down to being, just a very large, a very aggressive man. But he's a fucking ape in the comics, like that's like super swole for no reason.
It made it a little bit more believable. Plus, they didn't have to waste money on like a bunch of CGI and stuff, so
it worked. It was cool.
It would have been cool.
Plus, his weapon was awesome.
To see like a DC Grodd-like character, but at the same time, like I'm happy with the way that they did it. Like I think everything was done tastefully, so no issues there as far as that's concerned.
All right, well, heading home, let's talk about that Killmonger sing on the hill, watching the sunset. I really wanted him not to die. I wanted to hear something along the lines from T'Challa saying, we're family. We'll figure it out.
I was thinking about that too. I don't think they didn't... Like, he fell over, but he also still had the power of the Black Panther. So I honestly feel like he could heal from those wounds. So and they also didn't really show him being buried either. So I feel like T'Challa probably put him in prison or something like that. And because it would be kind of dumb to just kill off his character.
It would be cool if he came back, but maybe their laws are more strict. I mean, if Loki was forgiven by Thor, then why couldn't we have Eric be forgiven by Wakanda?
Because Loki didn't walk around and kill a bunch of Asgardians.
This is true. Eric did kill a lot of people. He wrecked so many people.
He killed important people and had, the people kill each other. So yeah, that shit ain't gonna fly.
But that scene was really cool. Reminded me of the ending of Blade 2 where she wants to see the sunset, she dies.
Oh yeah.
Before I forget, I got treated by this movie when T'Challa came back and he wanted to continue the challenge, and the Wakanda soldiers started charging him. And I'm like, so he's going to kill his own people? That doesn't really make sense. But it didn't show him, and I watched. It didn't show him one time. Maybe the pilot, but, hand-to-hand combat. He tried to save everyone he fought.
Oh, yeah. Everybody caught hands, but they weren't dying from it.
Yeah, I was like, man, even that little detail, they realized it and they made it work. That was pretty cool.
That's tough love, man. He's protecting his people with hands, one hand at a time.
Kinetic blast.
Everybody gets hands.
Yeah, we're pretty much at time, so I don't know if there was any final thought that anybody wanted to share before we get off the air.
John sucks, and that's all
John does suck.
Piggyback.
Well, damn, just gang up on me. This movie was supposed to bring us together, Tino, not tear us down.
Nah. Take your ass back to New York.
All right.
Damn.
Well, that website again is bodysnatcherspodcast.com. Everything Body Snatchers is there. And if you haven't heard Tino and the powerful Gia-Bomb talk about Digimon, Cyber Sleuth, Hacker's Memory, Digimon games have come a long way, but are they going in the right direction? Well, listen, and they'll tackle all four walls of that topic. So for Steve, Tino, John, and Gia, we're out of here. Tell someone you love them. Take care.
Good night.